This is my trusty ZX81. I've done a few things with this over the years. I am going to do something that I've planned to do for a while, is a composite mod. I've had the composite mod board for ages, and I've just never installed it. But today I'm going to do it. It's to be honest, I don't know how this whether this is a proper composite mod, but it does kind of work, but it is not super clear. I'll open it up and we can see where it's connected and take a look at that, and then we'll have a look at just doing the mod itself. Okay, let's give it a go. Okay, let's see if we can open this up and make a start. So I'm gonna undo these screws. I think it's all of these. Let's have a look. One, two. Let's try these two. They're the longer ones. Put them up there all the way. Longer, is that it? Feels like it. No, something under these feet maybe. Let's have a look. Yeah, not that one. So one more to go. Ooh, it's a bit tight in there. There we go. Okay. I think that's enough anyway to open it up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's the base off. Right, what have we got here then? How small it is. Right, what we're gonna have to do here is undo the screw holding the board down, and then unclip the keyboard. I replaced the keyboard on this a while ago, so hopefully that's not gonna disintegrate as I undo it. But yeah, let's undo this. There we go. Right, okay, let's see if we can undo this. Oh no, another screw. Ooh, what did I do with that screw? Right, I need to keep track of these. These are the inside screws. Okay, there we go. That is now ready for me to try and unclip the keyboard. Okay, let's see whether we can do this gently. So I'm going to gently pull this out. Yep. Yeah, we're free. So that's now free. And here we go. Here is the motherboard. So, oh wow, yeah. So that basically is just taking the input and the ground and gone directly into this composite phono connection. Interesting. Okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to replace this. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to replace it with the composite mod, which I now lost. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. So this is what I'm going to install. Here we go. There we are. It's a tiny little board there, and it's a ZX81 Composite video and back porch mod. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to maybe I'll use some header wires, but I might just solder wires directly in here and run them across. So I'm not saying I'm going to do a bodge, but I'm probably going to do a bodge, but we'll see whether it works anyway. Right, okay. Okay, so I've got my board here, got soldering iron on, I've got some cables that I'm going to use, wires, sorry, that I'm going to use. I'm just going to tack these on here rather than using the header just for now. So let me just see if I can do this. Ooh, fiddly. Without creating a short. That's 1 and 4. Right, I know it's not great, but I just want to see whether we get this working, or maybe because I've got some other ideas that I might do with this, but I just want to do something where we get it hooked up and it works. So there's my wires connected up to the board. So we've got blue 5 volts, blue and white is the input, blue and orange the output, and orange is ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see whether I can get that into the case, get that into the can for the RF modulator, and see if we can get that wired in. Okay, let's give that a go. Okay, so let's bring back the ZX81 board. We've got this here, which I'll try and remove. I could just snip it off, but let's see whether we can. It's probably not going to come off easily. Oh, there we go, we're getting it. There we go. And the next part is this bit down here. So that is off. This is going to be our input. This is going to be the 5 volts. This is going to be ground, and then obviously inside here, when I get this off, which I'm going to do now, let's see if we can get this can off. Won't damage anything. That's where our input will go. Our output will go. Okay, lift that off. There we go. There's the lid off. Okay, let's have a look in here. It's busy in there, isn't it? Busy in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to I might just wire this in for now, and then I can look at how I'm going to mount it properly later on. See, all these resistors are lifted. Must be the way they did it. See all that? The diodes, they're standing off from the board. Interesting, huh? Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll try and get this wired in. I need something to use to insulate it from the metalwork in here, but I'm basically just going to... What size is it? Where would it sit? If I could sit that off somewhere else. Run it round, put something underneath it. Let me have a look. Okay, let's put this in this for now, just to what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it up and see whether it works, and then I'm going to make some decisions around how it's going to connect. So I'm basically going to snip this off. I'm going to run the cable through into there, and I might let it just sit in the case for now, just while I work out what I'm going to do with it. I know it's not brilliant, but let's give it a go. So I'm going to give that a bit of length. I'm going to cut that off here. Okay. All right. So we're going to wire into the ground, the 5 volts, the input, and then the output goes inside there. So I need to disconnect that. Looks like a resistor. Yeah, so I'll see whether we can disconnect that resistor. It's hard to get a grip. There we go. Let's cut that off. So that resistor's now off there. over there. Okay, so can we bring one of those wires through? Let's have a look. So the orange and white is the output. Right, let me solder these ends up first of all. I'll come back to you once I've done that. Okay, so let's see whether we can do this. So let's feed that in there. It's a bit fiddly. Twist that. Okay, so that can solder into there. Let's have a look. Let's get a bit of solder on there. That's connected, and put this down to ground, which is down here. Can I solder it on that side? Yeah, looks like I can. So let's try and feed that into there. Okay, like that. Okay, so fiddly, solder. Just tack that on there. Okay, that's holding a little bit. Okay. There we go. So that's the ground and the input. Sorry, the ground and the output. Now we need the input. Just this fiddly little one down here. Okay. And then the last one, put a bit of solder on here, it is what's supposed to be the 5 volts. It's this one. Okay, so in theory, that's all wired in now. 5 volts, ground, input, output. Job's a good one. Right, let's try it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it in, and I'm going to have to use a composite to HDMI converter because this monitor that I'm using doesn't have composite input. So let's try that. Okay, so here we are. That's the composite to HDMI. So this is going to be a bit messy. Let's move things out of the way. That out of the way. So the yellow is the composite input. Plug that in there. Okay, and we shall power up the composite adapter to HDMI with USB power. I have blue light now on the monitor. Okay, and I have got the ZX81 power supply here. Let me just unclip the cable. Okay, right. So, theory, I'll plug this in, should see a signal on that, well, we should see the K on that screen. Okay, let's do it, see what happens. Right, flick you around. Okay, let's see what happens. Plugging in Now, and we get nothing. Try changing that setting. Yep, nothing. Okay, let's have a look at what we've done wrong here. I'm guessing there's maybe the signal from the composite output won't drive that converter to HDMI. So I've got my other telly hooked up here. So I'm going to plug this in now and see whether I get an image from the ZX81. See if I get a picture from it. Yep, there we go. Yeah, so that's clearly working. Looks pretty good actually. So obviously that signal can't drive that converter, which is a shame. But yeah, we are working. Now that this is working, I want to find a way of tidying this up, making it fit a bit better. Obviously it's not great just hanging around on this wire. So what I wanted to do was create like a bracket that can sit on here. Don't have much clearance on top in the case, so I thought of hanging it over this side. So here you can see the quick design that went on. I used Fusion 360 to do this. So yeah, so that's how I designed it. And now this is it printed out. So the idea is that this will sit in there. This will go on top there. I'm going to use something like double-sided tape here just to fasten that on, because I don't want to take that off. I don't want to change that. So that'll sit on there, that'll go in there. I'm going to tidy all these wires up. I need to desolder this jumper, and then I can solder the wires through there. Just generally tidy it up, make it look better. So that's what I'm going to do next. I've got my hot glue gun ready. Let's see whether this will easily hot glue bond onto here. Let's just give it a little, oh, that's not right. Let's give that a little blast down here. Don't know whether that's going to be enough. Let's try on here as well. Can't see. Hang on a second, it's not feeding through. There we go. Okay. Okay, not the prettiest in the world, but hopefully that'll hold. Okay, let's let that dry. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Feels fairly solid. Don't think it's going to fall off in a hurry. Right, so next is desoldering the header and then shortening the wires and installing it into this little compartment. So we'll do that now. Already desoldered those, so let's see whether we can get this header out. That one there's not clearing up as much. Okay. Slightly better. Okay, let me just have a close look at this. 1 second. Right, just needed a little bit of a wiggle to get those out. This is the last one. There we go. So they're out. So we can solder the wires directly in to the board from above. So I just need to cut them to the right length, and then we'll solder them in, stick this in. Okay, let's do that now. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do first. I'll measure these wires out first of all. So let's have a look at that. So I'm going to bring them all around here, like so, and just have them coming down into the board. So I think to keep it clean and neat, we'll cut them around about there. That should be fine. Cut those off. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to tidy up these wires and tin them off, ready to go into the board. Solder this one in there, that's the first one. There we go, that's going to hold it. So I'll put a little bit of heat shrink on here, so maybe just to help tidy up afterwards. So ground, and then orange and white next. That's that one. Then the input is this one. It's a bit fiddly. There we go. That's all that one. Let's come out. There we go. Let's just tack that. This last one in. We need this a little bit to pull it through. There we go. Okay, let's just tack that in there. Oh, it's not going to stay there, is it? Maybe cut that one a little bit short. Why have I done that? It looked right at the time, but let's see. Okay, there we go. Let's tack that there. Okay, change of plan. I'm going to disconnect from this end first. Okay, disconnect from there, and then I'm going to just push it into there. Okay, that's in now. So now I just tack that back onto there. Move that heatsink up. Heat shrink, sorry. And we shall tack this cable back on to there. There we are. Right, okay, so that's that. So now, in theory, that cable that's in there. Hey, that looks okay. Wow, I made a meal of that, didn't I? So that's how it's going to work. So basically, it's going to sit in there, and I shall just put a blob of either double-sided tape or a bit more hot glue in there to hold that in. But yeah, so what do you think to that? That's okay. Happy with that. Yeah, looking good. Let's glue this in here now. So I'll put a bit of that hot glue in there and tack that on there, and then just push that in place. I'll let that dry or set. Okay, a few seconds. Yep, that's done that. So that's now fastened in. That's good. So there we go. Fastened in. That looks tidy. I'm quite happy with that. Time to put it all back in the case. Will it all fit? Will it still work? Okay. So close up look. Yeah, That looks okay. I hope it fits in the case. Right, let's get this back in the case. So we need to clip these back in. Force it too much. There we go. That's back in. So roll that back there and then fasten these two screws in. I think it's this one and this one. That one there. One. And two. Right, so that's fastened in. So it looks like we've definitely got enough clearance there. That's doing the job. So yeah, cool, good. Okay, fasten the base back on. Yep, snug. Two small screws in the bottom. The longer ones up at the top. Fasten that. Okay, there we go. I'll have to stick the feet back on later. Maybe do some new feet, but yeah, we are now done. So mod in place, feels solid, nothing rattly. Let's power it on and see whether that has worked. Right, got myself a new screen here. It's actually a TV, Sony Bravia TV instead of that monitor. So back up all in the case. So let's have a look. Now that we're in, make sure this is not in the wrong one. That would not be good. Okay, so let's go pop up here. Let's get ready to plug this in and see what happens. Yes, there we go. So that's looking good. Yeah. So we're up and running with the composite mod on my new TV. Let's make sure everything is working as it should be. So let's have a look. And run. Yes. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, happy with that. It's pretty sharp. You can see that there's a bit of roundness to it, but it's looking okay. Maybe I can have a play about, but yeah, so composite mod is done. Everything's looking good in my ZX81. Yeah, happy with that. Let's see what else we could do with this, maybe in another video, but for now, thanks for watching.